Hey everybody, Starfish here. I'm going to be watching the Resident Evil Veronica trailer and just sharing some of my thoughts about the original and what I'd like to see from or addressed in the remake, and maybe some things added or taken away. Some of them are going to be very obvious things that just happen with any remake. Um, but just to kind of put this out there, I'm not a huge fan of Resident Evil Code Veronica, and I'll go into it after the trailer, like what I didn't like and how it'll be addressed. But let's watch the trailer, and then we'll break it down a little bit.
Oui? Qui est-ce? So, you're the American who called earlier. The sister of the man on the third floor. Ah, welcome to Paris. It's so nice to meet you. Brr, it's freezing. Come in. Come in. We don't want you to catch a cold. I hate to say it, but your brother is, well, quite odd. In we go. Oh là là. Mais quelle pagaille! He's made such a mess again. Think, I just cleaned it up a week ago. It's like a boulder rolled through here. Huh? Ah, the delightful biscuit. I'm sure he won't notice if we help ourselves. Oh, I'm so sorry. It must be the maintenance man from this morning. Won't be long. I'll bring some nice coffee to go with the biscuit.
Don't move. Claire Redfield.
Very cool. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Resident Evil content, and leave a comment down below of what you think of the trailer. But now let's get into the nitty gritty of this a little bit. So, I first played Resident Evil Resident Evil Code Veronica X when it was ported to the PlayStation 2, shortly after the release. So, uh, I was like 9 years old, maybe a little younger. And my initial impressions, and I can't say that this doesn't maybe this isn't in my subconscious or something, but I'm one of the people who got soft locked. So I made it to like the I left the fire extinguisher in the metallic box, and I wasn't able to like get enough and I left my weapons with Claire. So I wasn't able to like get through the Chris section. I didn't have enough you know, resources to get through it. So that definitely pissed me off as a kid. And at some point I definitely replayed it and beat the game. It was probably when I got it on the PS3. That's when I got the game again and played through it. And you know, I don't necessarily think that once you learn where the handoff points are and everything, like I don't really think that's an issue. It does suck in the moment, and if you knew to stagger your saves, you wouldn't have to replay from the beginning. You could kind of course correct a little bit. I didn't start staggering my saves until Resident Evil 4. So I didn't really have that like option when I first played it, but like I said, when I played it on the PS3, I had the information I learned from my first playthrough, and I was able to beat the game. And I really loved the fight scene at the end with Chris and Wesker. Like it was so rewarding to get to that point, and that was like my movie at the end to enjoy. I find the original to be a very kind of cinematic type of game that it's on the next gen consoles, and it looked really nice, and the music was just absolutely incredible. I think the story is really amazing too. Like bringing Wesker back, and Chris and him are like squaring up. They have their beef. I think Alfred like is a very interesting character and has been through so much tragedy in his life, and like his affection for his sister and him missing her and everything. Like I found that very fascinating. But when it comes down to the game itself, like I was saying this to my buddy Straw Hat. He speed runs the game. This is his favorite Resident Evil game. I was saying this to him last night that like one of the biggest things for me in a Resident Evil game, casually playing through it, is the environments. Like I love the atmosphere of the Resident Evil games, where they take place. I love imagining what the spaces and the like Raccoon City was like before the outbreaks, who lived there, what their job was, who would I be in this universe. I like to see the signage. I like to imagine what things were like before they were blocked off. Like when I'm casually playing through, I want to read the documents. I want to take my time into every room. I love that type of atmosphere and just kind of, like I said, imagining who I am in that universe. I don't really get any of that in Code Veronica. It's if like when I go back and play it, it for me it's the most boring place that it takes place in the most boring setting. Like not every part of the game is super boring, but like the prison that you start out in, it's a single cell prison for some reason, or at least the part you see. Everything's just a plain gray wall. There's not really any like signage. There, the little place where you pick up the like the bunkhouse where you get the double handguns, like everything's very plain and brick and boring. And I get it, like it's a prison. It's supposed to be kind of sterile and boring. But like as you go through the game, there's so much of that sterile, like gray silver vibe. Like when you go down into the submarine, that area is very boring, and it's like, what even is that space? I can't imagine people like working there. I don't know what it is. The plane is so gray and boring. When you get to Antarctica, like you do have some very neat sections, like the torture chamber and some of that anyway, and the palace and the castle, but overall, I just feel like most of the areas you spend the most time in are just very gray and boring, and there isn't like any life in those spaces. I don't get excited in any sense of the word to imagine like what's going on here, who's here, what does their work look like. It gives me nothing to chew on and be excited about. Like I said, there are some rooms that are kind of fun, but even in those, even though they look nicer, I just can't really imagine people spending any time in here before, shit hit the fan. Uh, Now, kind of like adding to that problem is that you play as Claire through the prison and everything, and then you get to Antarctica, and then you do the same game over again as Chris. Things are kind of destroyed, and you get to go through different rooms, but it's still just like now I'm spending additional time in these boring spaces, and that's what's so tough for me to like get into this game from the casual standpoint is that yeah, you just the gameplay to me is particularly like where you're spending your time is just boring. I don't get excited by it. And just the long drag in the beginning when you're doing the metallic box, like it was kind of neat in the first playthrough, but it's just an inconvenient thing you have to do, like dropping your items off, and then you have to circle back later and remember to grab them. And it's just like it's kind of neat to revisit there and get those items that you couldn't take, like the BOW rounds and the first aid spray, but ultimately it's just like slow and boring. So that's the number one thing I want to see in the remake, and I can already tell by the trailer that like it looks a lot like Resident Evil 9. Like there's just tons of detail. There's cafes that you're going through. Like before we even get to the island or the space where the game takes place, you get to take in areas where Chris kind of set up his home base to try and capture like information about Umbrella. So I love this. Like I'm assuming you don't get to walk around the city or anything, but at least you get to see something. Whereas in the original game, like you get like a neat cutscene where it's very action heavy and movie oriented and cinematic, where Claire's running from the helicopter. But it would be neat to like play that section. Based on how this trailer goes, it looks kind of like I'm assuming Claire gets captured by like a hunk or a guy like Hunk, and then you probably end up in that cell. But hey, maybe you get captured here and then you break loose at the base or something, and then you escape and then you get caught again and you end up in the island. Either way, if you end up in the island or if you get to play that little helicopter chase, I'm happy either way. But I love this. You get to see the city. You get to start to imagine what Chris's life was like for that time period, trying to get those secrets. And this looks very much like the hospital in Resident Evil 9. Here's this charming, creepy lady, but like the green walls and the tile floor, it's very classic. And I get excited imagining like the other people who live in this apartment, how they interacted with Chris. Did they also think he was like weird and a paranoid type of guy? And imagine this lady running this hotel. What's that like? I get very excited about that nerdy type of stuff. Now, I wonder if you get to actually play as Claire. Like when the lady goes away, won't be long. Like, okay, I wonder here, like, boom, you get to take care. You get to take control of Claire. Like, I can't imagine that there's like these documents on the floor that you don't get to kind of snoop through. It's possible that this is just a cutscene at the beginning. I don't know. But I would imagine that you get to play through and kind of inspect his cigarettes. You maybe look at the camera. Like I'm curious. I want to know like what Chris was able to find and learn more about those characters when he's investigating the Umbrella stuff. So I do hope you get to explore this, but I'm sure it looks like a cutscene here. But it might be. It might just be she looks at that and then you get a knock at the door. But I really hope we get to look around in here. How about you guys? Do you want to look through the apartment and dig through it, or would you kind of wish that it's just a cutscene, you enjoy it? Because in like Resident Evil 3 Remake, for example, you get to look through Jill's apartment, and that's really cool. Sidebar here, like it's very neat the first time or two when you get to kind of take in that story. But once you kind of know what's there, it doesn't have that like same replay ability. So that's kind of the flip side of having an intro like this. And in my perfect world, there'll be like a new game plus category where you get to maybe skip. If this is a playable intro, you get to maybe skip this after after you beat the game, because the other way I like to experience Resident Evil games is as a challenge runner, speed running and no damage and stuff like that. And in these intros where you can't take damage, there isn't really any tech to do. Like I end up just like not enjoying this, and then people will just create like a no intro skip category or something. So it would be nice, like if this is a playable area, to skip this once you get the new game plus. But for the first time, I do love like experiencing the story, slowing down, reading things, taking all this in.
Won't be.
Next, I do wonder, like, is this Hunk? I'm sure we get to, like, how does this guy fit into the story? Because there's no one like this type of character in the original game. Are we going to find that out right away? Like, are we going to go, like I said, to the Umbrella area, and they're going to interrogate me, and then we somehow escape and run through helicopters? I don't know. It's kind of goofy to think that, like, a helicopter is going to run through and shoot a machine gun and just destroy a nice umbrella building or something. Umbrella doesn't want the type of attention on them. They want to be secretive. So, it's kind of a goofy little intro, but for the sake of like calling back to the original, I don't know. So yeah, like what's this going to look like? Is this guy going to be a boss? Like maybe Chris fights him. Maybe Claire fights him. I don't know, but I'm curious. Now let's look at some of these environments. Like, I love this. Back to what I was saying, where you're kind of on this island, and you do see, like, the cliff that Chris climbs up, but you don't really feel like you're on an island. It's just a plain kind of, like, prison base. And then you kind of fly up in the sky, but you don't really see the island. You're kind of just in this foggy space. So it's neat to think about taking in some of these, like, outdoor environments, walking through the woods. I hope that Chris and Claire have different spaces that they're going to explore. Like Claire is in the prison cell and she starts to work her way out of the prison and to the palace and all of that. Whereas Chris, like, he's climbing up a cliffside and he's entering the island through there. So I hope that you actually get to climb up and go through these wooded areas, experience different enemies, and make your way into the prison a different way. So I hope there's more contrast with how they experience the same locations. But yeah, I love this. I love that we're getting some woods and trees. We haven't had a lot of that. I'm assuming this is more of that prison area. It's reminding me of like Revelations 2, I think it is. Like being in that kind of prison. And it's looking like that basement area in Resident Evil 9 a little bit. The name change is cool. I think that like Veronica is a little less, it's less cheesy than like Code Veronica X. I'm assuming that's like flying Claire into the island. This looks like where you put the metal in that you have to make that's not metallic. I hope that like that section's way more interesting, because like if they get rid of the metallic box or something, just like maybe just create a whole new way of getting into the prison. Steve is a whole nother conversation. He's such a dork in the original. I'm sure his character is going to be changed more than anyone. I hope that people are thinking like they're going to shy away from Alfred and the cross-dressing line and things like that. I think they're going to go more in depth of his character. I think he will still dress as Alexia, but I think they're going to go more into his character and like kind of what he's doing behind the scenes, because you do see him from time to time hitting buttons on his computer and stuff. But I want to see more of like the spaces he spends time in, kind of watching over Claire and trying to stop her. Kind of the behind the scenes things. Even if we don't play as him, like I want to see more of his areas. It'd be cool to kind of play as Alfred as well, like play as the villain, because we never get to do that. Maybe play more as Steve, or have some DLC where we play as Steve, because the DLC has been lacking in the Resident Evil universe. So I want to have more of that in this game. I'm wondering who this like Lugers, like that. Is that Claire trying to sneak out? Is that Chris trying to sneak in? Is this a whole new character that's trying to help? Like, is that Jill right there? We need Jill. We haven't seen her in forever. Like, can she be sneaking in to try and help? Like, I wonder how much they're going to change the actual game around.
Claire Redfield.
And add to it. Because we've learned, like, with Resident Evil 3 Remake, like, we don't want things cut out. We want everything there in some capacity, and we want things added, if anything. So, like, they're clearly adding, like, a hunk character. I wonder if there is going to be Jill sneaking around. I don't know. But I'm very excited because I can tell already that they're going to address the things that I care most about, and that's, like, that atmosphere. It looks very scary. And these zombies look incredible. They look more intense. They remind me of like RE2 zombies. All right. Next, when we're looking at Claire and Chris, I hope that they have a different ability that helps them out. Like, I was missing this in RE9. There's, you know, you have Leon with his hatchet and he can kind of defend himself and open certain cabinets and things. And Grace, like, she has the like the ability to collect the blood and make new items, but it's very like her gameplay is already much slower, and you're kind of stealthing and sneaking around. And now your special ability is like to slow down, collect this blood, think about how you want to make things. Like, it's adding a slow ability to an already slow game. Like, for example, I wish that maybe she could do more with stealthing, or like sneak up behind things and kill them a little more easy, or ideally for me, like a dodge. Like, I'd like her to be able to dodge. I felt the gameplay so stiff, and she's scared and walking around. We have to carry what's her name around. Like, it's just adding slowness to an already slow game. So maybe like Chris has the ability to punch or use a knife or defend, and Claire has the ability to like maybe use the lockpick or dodge. Or I just want there to be like a really fun, differentiated thing between them. The music, like, please don't mess with it. They had an amazing score. Like, we don't need to change that. Let's leave it, you know, as close to the original as possible. And like, I want the music to be in those, like, every room. Every room, I want there to be a piece of music. Like, I don't want there to be all this dead space like in a lot of the other games. Just you put that music in there, Capcom. And then finally, just like the quality of life stuff, like, I want you to be able to quickly switch weapons, and you know, just behind the shoulder, give me a first person choice again. I doubt they're going to do any kind of fixed camera angle, fun stuff. Just that quality of life, like, make the game a little easier to play. Obviously running upstairs and not having to interact with them. That was such a backstep in the OG. Like, being able to do that in 3 and then not being able to do that in Remake. But yeah, kind of a rambly thing. These are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, what you want to see, what you don't want to see. Leave some comments, and take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.